Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the IDEA Exchange webinar. Your speaker today will be IDEA's Director of Digital Integration Services, Tom Guzik. Tom brings nearly 30 years of experience working with EDI, 20 of which have been in the electrical industry. He is also highly experienced in SAP systems, inventory control, logistics and warehousing, and vendor-managed inventory. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can type them into the Q&A and we will be answering them at the end. So without further ado, I will hand it off to Tom.
Thank you, Ileana. Let me launch the presentation. All right, so this presentation, as Ileana has said, we're talking about the IDEA Exchange and our EDI offerings. So let's talk a little bit about what's IDEA's mission. At the highest level, our mission is to remove obstacles within the electrical channel for people to do EDI, B2B, or e-commerce. And we achieve that by really leading, facilitating the exchange of complete high quality commercial grade transactional data to serve electrical channels needs, and by being the standards setting body for the channel. Part of what this would include is, our continuing to offer a competitive, cost-efficient van that supports the channel. We're constantly enhancing our solutions to meet the ever-changing needs of things that may impact the channel or in general, e-commerce EDI. And we evaluate and select the appropriate platform providers as needed to, again, address any changing needs within the channel or the offerings that are needed. So who's EDI? Well, we are the offspring, so to speak, of the National Association of Electrical Distributors, or NEED, and the National Electrical Manufacturers Association, or NEMA. We were founded back in 1998. Our initial charter had been to come up with a data synchronization platform, which at the time the IDW, now known as Connector, and to help facilitate the use of the EDI documents that were originally used to populate the IDW. We created the, at the time, IDX, now known as Exchange. And that really has become the #1 EDI platform service in the channel. Now, there's just a couple stats I just want to take a quick look at with you. $32 can be saved per order on average by using EDI Exchange or IDEA Exchange. Now, $32 is a rough number. It could be more, it could be less, but it all basically just goes to show you that there are savings that can be achieved by going with an automated solution, and ideally within the IDEA Exchange. We enjoy a high retention rate of our customers. Currently, 98% of our customers that we have signed up are still with us today, enjoying the service. And the exchange has been growing. We are just under 8 million documents a month. So it's greater than 7, but the last look I did, we were just under 8 million. So it's been growing significantly over the last couple of years as far as the transactional volume that we're able to process. And it's also indicative of the trend for more and more companies to adopt an e-commerce EDI solution to enable their business processes. So let's look at a couple of our satisfied customers. We have several distributors, well, I should say more than several, but I'm just going to show you a couple of distributors and manufacturers that are within the electrical channel that currently use the IDEA Exchange. And if you notice on the list, there are a couple Rockport Glassfuls that are not from the channel, but we are able to provide the service for them because EDI in essence is channel agnostic. So as is the IDEA Exchange, we can basically provide EDI services to any company, any channel, any vertical, because EDI is a standard type process. So as long as the company is using a standard format for transaction their data, the IDEA Exchange is able to use it. And then there's a little quote on the bottom from McNaughton McKay, touching on our 98% retention rate. I won't read it to you. You can see it. However, it basically speaks to once an EDI system has been set up, put in place, tested, production, it really is like lights out operation. You don't need to babysit it and monitor it. It really works on its own. You're talking about machine to machine conveyance of information. And the way we try to run the system is that it's management by exception. If everything's working well, you don't really hear from it. If something fails, a document doesn't go through, some type of alert is generated, so then you're only really looking at exceptions that need to be addressed. But other than that, there's no real human intervention involved. I mean, it just works. So some of our industry partners, of course, our two owners, NAED and NEMA, are partners that we work with all the time. We are also partnered with a couple buying groups in the channel, AD and IMARC, and a few other associations such as Hardy, NEMRA, which is the Manufacturer Rep Association, Hardy in Canada, and Electrofed. And one of the ones I want to point out is X12. We do partner with X12. I personally sit on two of the subcommittees for X12, one being the X12M for supply chain, and there's a relatively newer subcommittee called B2X, and that charter is to go over and really come up with what's the next generation of EDI that's being used. How can EDI be used for more different applications, as well as address prevailing needs, such as, how's EDI helpful in taking care of the needs from the pandemic and expediting shipments and really facilitating a whole new usage for EDI. Just a little pitch for X12. I mean, they're always looking for people to participate. So if you've ever had an interest in getting involved in the standard setting for not just the industry, but in general, that's definitely the place to go for it. So let's talk about some of our customers, our real clients that are experiencing real results. On average, looking at anybody who does any kind of automation, and specifically automation using EDI on the IDEA Exchange, you can expect anywhere from a 50 to 90% reduction in your costs for ordering, data errors that are occurring, a reduction in your order to cash cycle, as well as a reduction of the administrative work that's typically involved in the day-to-day business transactions. So those are pretty significant numbers. I mean, just even doing the minimum, you will enjoy some significant savings in time, costs, and elimination of errors. So what is the IDEA Exchange? Such as this chart is showing you on a graphical level. On the far left, you've got your back office systems, such as your ERP, Epicor ERP, SAP, NetSuite, what have you. That's where your purchase orders or invoices or ASNs would be typically generated. They go through a secure B2B network or gateway, such as AS2 or an FTP. You go through the center where is what I would call the value add and a value added network. So that is what VAN stands for, value added network. And then at the end point, it is delivering these transactions to your e-procurement trading partners, to an EDI interconnect, such as a gateway if your trading partner is using a third-party solution provider or on another value-added network. That would be how we get that information delivered there, or directly into third-party ERPs. So again, you've got your SAP, your Oracle, your Epicor, JD Edwards, so on and so forth. So the middle part, those service options. What does that really entail? I mean, you've got your data delivery, which is your delivery of those transactions. You have your basic VAN support, or also available now is Support Plus, and then managed services. So let's take a look at some of these service offerings. Just on the top part, you'll see, I mean, we can grow with your business. If you want to start off just doing your basic VAN, where we're just doing file delivery, we can do that for you. As your system grows, you want to add additional transactions, we can accommodate that. Or when the time comes, if you desire to outsource your EDI, IDEA can provide you with a fully managed outsource integration plan to really take on your EDI processes on your behalf. So a quick look at your data delivery. That is your tier one van systems, where we're taking files to and from you to your trading partner, from your trading partner back to you. AS2 connections that can be set up to facilitate the transfer of transactions from you to your non-van using trading partners. And we provide the visibility tools. So at the basic level, again, of transactions going across the van, you're able to see your transactional activity. Support Plus, which is relatively new, it's sort of in between your basic van service, what we would provide at the basic van level, but it's not quite a managed services solution. So we can manage your daily alerts. We can create custom reporting on your EDI transactions, all freeing up some of your personnel's time to do other more value add things. On the managed services, we can provide full turnkey services, uh, basically with your EDI, business to business and application to application needs, all with the seamless integration. So once it's put into place, it's seamless actually within your own customer side, as well as in your own company. People really won't even be aware that it's been outsourced, because you can retain your customer facing business part of it. We'll maintain the transactional side, any of the transformations and delivery, as well as setting up trading partners. So again, to your trading partners, it may not even be visible that you've outsourced it. So let's take a look at the data delivery aspect. So the value-added network van could be private network that is hired to facilitate the transportation of electronic documents. So essentially, at a high level, it can be a private van, or it could be more of the larger scale vans that you see. What does a van do? We're transmitting the consistently formatted data via electronic means to and from you and your trading partners. However, we can accommodate XML or other binary formats, such as CSV files, flat files, what have you on that. So that is not a limit. You don't have to just do EDI. There are other file formats now accommodated. And the van just doesn't really provide the transport where you're sending and receiving files, but we do compliance checking. So we're ensuring that the files that are going through following the standard are compliant with a standard that's been put out, such as an ANSI X12 standard, or any type of internal business rule that may have been required for that document. Then if there is an error, there is a automatic process to do alerting, so that we're aware that there was a problem with the file, and alerts can be sent to you as well, so that you are aware that something happened, but know that we are working on it as well. And we can also work with the communication protocols. So to ensure that your trading partners who are connecting, anything that's a direct connect, we are able to determine that they are in fact picking up their traffic. If there has been no communications, we could see that. We do a process called like a heartbeat. And essentially we're checking all those connections ongoing throughout the day to ensure that they are connected to the system. And if we detect that something has not responded back to one of our heartbeats, we can take proactive measures to contact you and or your trading partner that their system is not definitely connected and therefore not picking up transactions. So let's take a look at the IDEA Exchange Visibility Portal. It goes under the trade name of Intelligent Exchange, or IX. This is a new feature on Exchange that allows you to visualize your supply chain. And how that is accomplished is, it's a series of self-service tools that allow the various departments in your company, such as accounting, customer service, any compliance organizations that you have, view the data in a format that they can understand. So they're not looking at, X12, raw data files. They're actually able to see it as the process, as a purchase order, as an invoice, as an ASN. And that allows you to monitor your performance both as a supplier as well as your customer requirements. And another feature in this is the ability to match up with the purchase orders against the syncing of the shipments. So if there's say a purchase orders come in and the customer is supposed to get an ASN before any invoicing, but the system detects a invoice but no ASN, it can flag that. It can send out an alert that would indicate something's happened, that no ASN has been sent. And that may be a compliance issue with your trading partner. Well, they will require that ASN be set before any type of a shipment comes in, or pay for that. And it basically just improves all the supply chain research tools. So you're able to really watch the whole system, right from purchase order to final invoice and payment. And this really facilitates, faster and more efficient onboarding of your customers and your trading partners onto IDEA Exchange. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the managed services side. The first few slides that we've gone through, they're really dealing with more on the van side and some of the support services we provide. But what really is managed services? Managed services could entail basically just EDI mapping and translations, where you're sending us a file from your ERP's native file format, and we translate that into a, say, X12, XML, EDIFACT, whatever the desired file format that is needed, and then we deliver that to your customer. It can also then grow and include professional services, and professional services would be where we're more like a consultant working with you and your department, how potentially that a transaction may need to be set up. So, can your system send additional information that may be required within the channel, such as, a different, say, like packing levels, part of the hierarchical loops that are involved within EDI, as well as some sort of like constraints that you may be experiencing. We can help you work through those to determine what other options exist that you could possibly send from your system to really basically remain compliant with your customers' needs. So at the high level, your best practices support. Trading partner implementations. This is where we are going to work with you and directly with your trading partners to set them up onto a EDI partnership with you. So we would do the spec gathering from them to determine that their specifications for their mapping needs are compliant with what you have. If they're not, then we would determine what that delta or gap is, and then come up with an alternative map that would then enable you to trade with them. We would acquire all their trading partner credentials, EDI IDs, qualifiers, anything that we really would need to ensure that they're able to send and receive the files from you through the exchange. And then managed AS2 or FTP connections, also to include OFTP, which is more of a European type connection. You would be potentially dealing with a company who doesn't use a van per se, but they still want to trade EDI with you because they have their own system built in. They have a team that's handling all their EDI. So you would have to go over and create your own connection to them, monitor and manage it. But through IDEA Exchange, we can host that on your behalf. So we would set up that connection. So you're just basically sending and receiving your EDI through your mailbox like you do today. And once you send the file that, say, would go to Amazon, we would then route that to the hosted connection that we have set up on your behalf to Amazon, route it through that as to AS2 connection. Amazon gets it, and any of the response documents would come back through that hosted connection. We would pick that up, and then we would route it to your EDI mailbox on Exchange. So essentially, you're not adding additional processes to monitor. You're not adding additional points of failure. You're keeping your same process that you have today, but you're now able to over and connect and interact with companies who are not using traditional van services. So what is really the support that's involved in managed services? We have a central desk that maintains and manages as a central point for your customer base. Actually, I should say for you. So you're not reaching out to multiple entities. You really just call the IDEA Exchange contact that you have, or through a email to send it right to the Exchange support, and we take care of the rest. We will work with the other providers that may be involved the mapping teams. All you have to do is reach out to us and we will make sure that your request is handled, is resolved in a timely basis, and that you will be notified, of the outcome and solution. And this would also include incident management, triaging of support calls. So we have, various levels of support that may come in. Some are not that, critical. It's just more of a informational thing or something that can be worked on as time permits, versus those things where you're like production down, documents failed that needs to get out. We basically reprioritize all during the day to ensure that those incidences that need high priority, immediate action are taken care of. But then at the end, we're still taking care of the rest of those requests so that they get done also in a timely basis. We ensure the escalation to the various tiers of support. So if it's above and beyond a tier one need, we will escalate it again to a higher support, such as tier two or tier three. You don't have to do anything. We take care of that again to ensure that it's resolved. And we take care of the logging, the tracking, and the monitoring of all those tickets, as well as any analysis of the problem that needs to be reported. So who exactly uses managed services? Well, currently, these are a few of the customers today that are enjoying IDEA Exchange managed services. Again, you can see there's distributors, manufacturers, uh, company outside of the channel, again, like Glaze. But again, it just speaks to the fact that, EDI is channel agnostic. As long as, we are transacting in a standardized format, uh, using standard communications methods and protocols, we're able to take care of any customer's needs as far as managed services. So then the big question, why IDEA Exchange, or even why choose IDEA? We talked a little earlier. We were created by the channel for the channel. So our whole mission is to make sure that your needs are met. We are a part of the electrical channel, so we're cognizant of any changes that are going on, and we're going to make sure that the exchange is able to handle any new requirements that may come out. And that could be if there's another transaction that needs to be developed because of some new need within the channel. We'll ensure that transaction is developed and that we can handle it correctly, and then also apply the best practices so that those that are sending it and those that receive it basically know how best to use it and the information it's there to provide. We are known for our responsiveness because we do provide stellar service. That's always been one of our strong points. We are a true partner with you. You will know us, we will know you. So when you call up, you're not just a ticket number. We know your company, we know what you're about, and we honestly care about making sure that your problems are fixed quickly and correctly. The IDEA connector, as we mentioned earlier, that is our data sync platform, sort of PIM-like. It's where all the product information is housed. If you were to bundle the two, you can ensure that not only do you have the best means possible of conveying and transferring your business critical documents, but that the data itself will be accurate because you will be using the manufacturer's product codes, the descriptions, and the pricing that are provided, so that you will basically eliminate any type of kickbacks, failures, or rejections that may come from an incorrect price or product code that is incorrectly stated. And EDI Pro, IDEA is the steward for the EDI Pro standards, or more likely I should say a guideline, because EDI Pro is a subset of the X12 standards. And what makes these so valuable is they were really created by the channel. So manufacturers, distributors all got together into a room and said, what do we need to conduct business? So they went through all the transactions, the purchase orders, the invoices, the ASNs, purchase order acknowledgements, and they picked what segments are needed, what qualifiers are needed, what elements are needed. And they all came to an agreement to say, if you can send this, I can process your request. And the same with the response document. If I send you this, you'll be able to process that. So that ensures that the right information is being sent using the right format and the right qualifiers and segments, so that it cuts down on the number of maps that are needed. You can essentially create a map and treat it like a global map that you can add multiple trading partners to use the same map, which is a significant savings, and also reduces the amount of time that would be required to spool up a new trading partner. So essentially, if you reach out to a potential trading partner and say, look, I support EDI Pro, or you, and they come back with yes, I mean, you can turn them around very quickly and get them set up. So continuing with the managed services, when does it make sense? Like, why would you really want to do managed services? One of the things that we see nowadays, it tends to be there are the EDI coordinator or manager or programmer is retiring or is leaving to pursue other options and avenues. So that leaves you with the task of trying to spool up a new resource to learn a system that maybe somebody had been managing for over 20 years. And that would be a significant burden on the company. Or you lack the infrastructure to support a growing EDI, because with the pandemic, I mean, more and more companies have turned to EDI as a means of continuing to transact their business. So you may be hit with a lot of requests. And if you have very few staff members that are working your EDI department, it can quickly overwhelm and create quite a backlog. So those two are good ideas of when you may want to consider outsourcing. Uh, Third one is your translator is outdated or scheduled to be end of life. Instead of going through the process of having to evaluate and purchase a new translator and then create all your own maps, you may want to look into the outsourcing, because it could definitely come in as a less expensive option, and you're able to then focus on running your business. Uh, and I would say there's quite a few other here reasons why. But another one that I see often is that you really just recognize that doing EDI is not part of your core competency. You know, you're a manufacturer, a distributor. There are other things that you need your team working on. You don't need them chasing down EDI errors or trying to create maps. So it would make sense to outsource that to a company like IDEA, who specializes in that. So, I mean, that is one of the things that we're good at. We know how to go over and provide the managed services and ensure that your EDI is processing well. Your team can go back and work on other strategic initiatives that are more valuable to your company. So this takes us into some additional services, sort of not just the van, but not managed services. And we can provide web portals that are either on-premise or hosted in the cloud. And these web portal solutions would be sort of like a web forms, where companies that you deal with who do not do any EDI are able to populate a web form. The web form is converted into an EDI compliant document that's then routed to you. So you process it into your EDI system as if it came as EDI from your trading partner, who, though may not be capable of doing it, you're still able to go over and utilize your same system and not have to spend time with folks doing the keystrokes for entry, or sending paper invoices out. So again, it basically can take a manually keyed or flat file and deliver a standard EDI transaction. Another service that we offer is fax to email to EDI. And this is where a fax or an email containing a PDF file can be mapped and converted using OCR or true mapping, and we convert that into an EDI transaction on your behalf. So again, you're able to receive it in as EDI using your existing infrastructure, but you're able to add more and more trading partners to your EDI partnership who may not be able to do EDI. So they can now trade with you and send you EDI in essence, and you will send them an EDI document that will convert into a format that they can then digest within their systems. That is also an on-prem solution that could be provided, or hosting is available. Let's talk a little bit about the IDEA production support. We do provide 24/7 customer support operations. So there is always support. During the working hours, you're able to reach live people within 6 locations, 4 time zones, and 2 countries. Anything happens after hours, there is still on-call support. So it's not like you have to wait till the following day. So there is, again, that 24/7 support that's offered. The in-source support, basically, we provide both tier 1, 2, and tier 3 services. We have the extensive system and application monitoring, alerting. So things that happen we know about. And again, if there's an issue, we will take care of that on your behalf. If we will let you know if something from your system is incorrect and that it's populating, say, an incorrect receiver ID. So the documents that you're sending are failing, we'll notify you what that problem is so that you can then take care of it on your side. Or it may be something on if you're using our managed services where we would need to make a map change. We are geographically diverse. We have data centers in Georgia, Texas, and Virginia. And we have all the latest technology within the hosting facilities where we have N+1 redundant power, air handling, and monitoring at all the data centers. And we do have offsite media storage for the long-term retention, so that if there is ever a incident at the data center where potentially data is compromised or systems are down, there is an offsite site where we can then pull that data and restore everything. And of course, it's all managed change and maintenance windows. So on the weekend, off the hours, when we typically do any kind of weekly updates to the system or maintenance to ensure that everything is working well, if there's ever a time where we do need to go over and perform maintenance, during the typical workday or something that may interrupt the flow of the data, we will send out notifications 2 to 1 week in advance so that what's happening, when it's going to happen, and what's going to happen. And then during that time frame, the whole team is basically monitoring to make sure if anything gets caught when the system goes down, that it is requeued and then reprocessed so that nothing is ever lost or delayed. So who is the IDEA production support person? All of our team members are full-time IDEA employees. They all provide that personal care for you and your trading partners. Again, going back to our premise, why we exist, we are here to remove the roadblocks that prevent companies from exchanging electronically. And again, we're small enough to know you personally, but big enough to provide the services that you need. We'll give you 95% first call resolution, and that when you make that first call, 95% of the times it can be resolved with just that call. There will be some issues, of course, that require follow-up, but in general, most are always taken care of 95% of the time. We do proactive monitoring. I alluded to earlier where we have a system we call heartbeats, where we're always checking to make sure that our customers who are connected through FTP, STP, AS2, I should say, that they are connected so that we know that they're able to send and receive their transactions, as well as monitoring the systems. We know if a document has failed. We could look at things as far as a transaction has been sent, but no 997 has been received. We provide phone and email support options. You can call anyone on the support team, or you send an email to the general support email address, which every team member gets. So you can ensure that no matter if someone's out on vacation, sick, someone is seeing your request and it will be taken care of. And that we will also maintain the ticket monitoring system so that your tickets are entered, maintained. It will never be lost because we can watch that process all the way until a ticket is closed out. Should unfortunately ever something happen that will cause an outage, which again, we do not expect to happen, but they can, there will be a root cause analysis issued within 72 hours after the event that will basically tell you what happened, why it happened, and what's been put in place to prevent that from ever happening again, so that you can be assured that we are doing everything possible, again, to ensure your business critical documents are getting to where they need to be delivered. So this next section on our support basically deals a little bit with the communications. And that really will entail, as far as setting up, your mailbox, the connectivity monitoring. Again, are you connecting with FTP, AS2? Is it an OFTP connection? So we perpetually monitor that to make sure that all those connections are in fact functioning. We have the user interface. Again, we talked a little bit about the IX, or Intelligent Exchange, but we do have other user interfaces that you can look at your traffic with. Not necessarily all the bells and whistles, but we'll give you a picture of what business you are doing transactionally, the inbound, the outbound, as well as has it been acknowledged. We will provide you with the access to that, set up your user IDs as well as passwords. Should you forget your passwords, we will also be the ones that will reset that for you. And we will provide that training to that user interface. So essentially anybody who comes on board is given that training right up front. But we also will train new people who may come to your company, now take on new roles, or if there's new hires, we will also train them on using that tool and understand how to use it to get the most value from it. There are some additional add-ons that could be added above this. We talked a little bit earlier about hosted mailbox connections, hosted connections in general, as well as troubleshooting customer communication software. And what that may entail is that you have a customer that you're trying to transact with, and they're using AS2, and for whatever reason they're not able to take the transactions. We would help on your behalf work with them to ensure that they've got the right SHA setting put in place, the certificates haven't expired. Again, really just ensuring that you're able to communicate and connect with that trading partner. Continuing on, document delivery, we talked about that earlier. That is, you send the file, they receive it, they send the file to you, and then you receive it. Where we come in on that, we are adding and verifying your trading partner IDs to make sure that they are in the routing tables, so that you in fact can send something to them. Think of the van as a post office. So if we don't know the address, we can't deliver it. But when we get it into the routing tables, the system can programmatically know where to route transactions, as well as anything inbound to you. It knows where your mailbox lies. It can ensure that it gets delivered and only to you. We provide additional reporting and providing access to transaction failures, bad segments, basically anything that would really cause a transaction to fail. We provide the document tracking, delivery confirmations, such as the mail bag numbers. That's typically seen with the van side when you're doing interconnects, MDNs, which are message distribution notifications from AS2, and so on. And we're able to reprocess any transactions that may be needed. You could have gotten say a purchase order delivered to you, but you were doing some system maintenance at the time, and the purchase order blew up, went into the ether. So it just, it's just gone. You just can't recover it. Well, we can send that transaction for you. You don't have to go over and, contact somebody in your department to rekey it, or have the sender resend it. We have that copy, and we can send it back to you through your mailbox so that you can then reprocess it. That is a feature that you can do yourself, or if you feel more comfortable calling us up and ask us to do it, we will do it on your behalf. Some additional features that could be added, FA status reports. And what that would entail is that you could set up a parameter for if you're sending a purchase order, say to a supplier, and you do not get a 997 or a functional acknowledgement within 24 hours, that an alert gets generated. That alert can be sent through an email, or even sent as an FTP file to your FTP server, but basically letting you know that something has not yet been acknowledged. And you can set the parameters. So 24 hours is too quick. You can make it 48. It's really up to you on what you want to do with that. as well as advanced analysis and troubleshooting of data structure. That would again come into the fact that, if you're sending an EDI document, you're not using our managed services, but you're doing your own translation, but your customer's getting it and it's failing, we can take a look at your transaction to see, is there a structural problem within the format? It may be compliant to the EDI X12 standards, but it's causing a failure on your trading partner side just because they can't handle that structure. We could determine what it looks like it's failing as far as it goes to the system and provide that type of additional resource. And speaking of special handling, these are things that we can provide, again, part of the regular van service as well as within managed services. But as mostly you'll look at this is what you get at part of the van. We can create the carbon copies, so basically a spin-off of if you have a file that comes in and you need another copy sent to a third-party solution provider, we can spawn the carbon copy and route that on your behalf. We can create reroutes, which would basically take a file that's intended for one mailbox and then reroute it to another of your choice that may be needed. We can do delimiter changes, directory changes, as well as do duplicate ISA control number checking, so that if you were to get the same purchase order number, the same control number from that same trading partner, we can flag it to say, this has already been seen by us. This may be a duplicate. We won't delete it, but we can flag it for you so that you can then take a look to say, is this truly a duplicate, or is this a transaction that I need to process? Some of the additional features that could be added in this regard, we can convert a file to a human readable format. And that comes in as being very useful when you have a non-EDI technical person who may need to look at something like a purchase order. They're not going to go over and read the X12 850 raw data, but they can look at this and it would look like a purchase order that was faxed or mailed, so they can completely understand the purchase order number, the products order quantities. And again, it's in a human readable format or data pretty, and as well as set up miscellaneous reports. Really, we can create, an unlimited number of reports, whatever you really need. We can create the custom reports that can give you a weekly or a monthly or a daily view of your traffic. If you're just looking for a report that says how many POs did I get, this week by these trading partners, that report can be set up. So again, you can use it as a means of auditing your system. So what's coming in through EDI, you can match it up against your ERP system to make sure that things aren't getting lost, as they come in versus being processed. So those, again, custom reports, pretty much unlimited on what we can give you. And that brings us back to the end now, where we're basically talking that this is the exchange where we offer competitive, cost-efficient vans to support your industry electrical needs. We continue to add outsourced and managed services solutions as needed, again, to address those ongoing and changing needs of channels as well as companies in general. And we are always evaluating and reviewing the technology platforms that we're using to ensure that we are remaining competitive and keeping up with the latest technologies. Okay, I see them right here. Okay, so what do we need to do to migrate to your van? Essentially, all you would need to do to get started is we need your current van's expiration date, number of KCs that you transact on a monthly basis, and then reach out. One of our salespeople will going to get back to you and the additional information that's needed, and then what those next steps would be. Some similar question here. How long does it take a van migration take, I should say? Start to finish, we typically can migrate your account in 3 to 4 weeks. However, a lot of that depends on the responsiveness of trading partners, the responsiveness of your own team members on what they can do and how quickly they can do it. It's always best if you can dedicate a resource, and then that would definitely ensure that we can move you over to the van within the 3 to 4 week period. Okay, and what would be the next steps if we were interested in managed services. Very similar to the first one. Reach out to any of our sales team members. They will contact you back and they will ask for your trading partner counts, number of maps, and what you are doing today for EDI. And they can then come back with a full quote or if additional information is needed. So let's see, interested in seeing a list of transaction sets, IDEA supports with distribution. Essentially that we really support any transaction set. You know, if it's a standardized document using X12 or XML, VDA even, that can be routed through the van because again, the van doesn't really care what it is, just as long as it's a standard document, and we can then route that. So it's unlimited. Whatever you need that the distribution would have, we can support that. It says there are pricing plans for the services, or do we need to get a customized quote? Again, I would ask you reach out to the salesperson if you have one already that's assigned, or just reach out generally to IDEA's sales department, and they can get back to you with any kind of pricing quotes that are needed. And again, it could be standard, or if you have any specific need, it could be a customized quote to meet your needs.
And we will go ahead and wrap up. So thank you so much for attending our IDEA Exchange webinar. Again, if you have any further questions or would like to find out more about IDEA Exchange, you can contact Eileen Bromberg or again, any of the other sales account managers at sales@ideaforindustry.com. We also have a special webinar offer where you can receive a $10 Starbucks e-gift card if you make an appointment with Eileen and mention that you attended the webinar. Thank you again and have a great afternoon.
Yes, thank you everybody for attending. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.